Kanye West has a problem, a very serious problem.
A former employee of Kanye's has gone on the record making some alarming allegations.
Back in February, Kanye was riding high in the success of Vulture's One. The album debuted at #1, critics praised his creativity, and fans couldn't get enough. It seemed like Kanye once again solidified his place at the top of the music world, but people weren't aware of what was really going on behind the scenes. Just a few weeks after its release, Kanye sat down with Big Boy for an interview that left everyone talking, but not for the right reasons. You see, not too long before this interview, Kanye was dealing with a major personal struggle. More than anything, he wanted his family back together, but his then wife Kim Kardashian refused to take him back. And it seemed like that's what Kanye was referring to in the interview when he said this.
I have my issues with Jesus. There's a lot of stuff I went through that I prayed and I didn't see Jesus show up. So I had to put my experience in this world, my experience with my children, my experience with other people, my experience with my account, my experience with my brand, and my experience with the level of music that I was dealing with in my own hands.
He claimed that he had to take matters into his own hands because, in his view, God hadn't answered his prayers. And so he even went so far as to say,
"Because I'm God. And anyone that disagree, I'm the God of me, and you can't tell me who I am. I'm the God of me. I don't know if I'm in heaven already, and I got #1 from that."
We are the kingdom, and I'm the head of the kingdom. I am God. No one can suggest shit to me, period.
wow.
You can't tell my daughter to come say shit to me about Jesus. I'm gonna just tell you some real simple. God runs the world. I am God. I run the world.
In that moment, Kanye wasn't just distancing himself from the faith that he once claimed, he also made a decision to carry the weight of his problems all by himself. And it's almost as if right after he said that he's God, the things in his life started to unravel. After boasting about how he and he alone were responsible for his success and that he didn't need God, just a few weeks ago he dropped his follow-up album, Vultures 2. Despite it debuting at #2, it lacked the spark that fans and critics came to expect from Kanye, and reviews called it rushed and uninspired, a stark contrast to Vultures 1.
Ye was in the studio working on the album and accidentally hit submit.
This sounds like something they would release a year after his death. Everything new is either low quality, AI, or songs heard years ago. Garbage mixing, lazy verses, unfinished songs. Ye can do way better.
Kanye also found himself entangled in more legal battles, a $1.5 million copyright lawsuit for using photos without permission, and a racial discrimination lawsuit from a former employee. But aside from the legal issues and Kanye just being Kanye, news recently broke that seemed to show signs that something far deeper and far darker was going on behind the scenes.
Garcia, this Ye, I'm on a nitrous.
And I was at the dentist office the other day. I was taking a nitrous oxide. I suggested if anybody's like stressed out.
Milo Yiannopoulos, who you might know from his controversial past in politics, was Kanye's chief of staff for his company Yeezy. But Milo eventually left the company when Kanye decided to add a porn company to the business. And even more recently, Milo dropped a bombshell that goes far beyond Kanye's legal troubles or his album sales. He accused Kanye of being addicted to nitrous oxide, which is more commonly known as laughing gas. Now, if you aren't familiar with nitrous oxide addiction, people that abuse it use it to get short-lived euphoric highs. And according to an article put up by Yale, nearly 13 million Americans 12 and older have abused nitrous oxide at some point in their lives. While it's usually used medically for anesthesia or to keep patients comfortable, when abused, it can lead to all kinds of issues like neurological damage, memory loss, psychological dependence, severely impaired judgment, erratic behavior, and can even lead to nerve and brain damage as well. So Milo was claiming that Kanye is addicted to it and that Milo's dentist, Dr. Thomas Connolly, is the one who's guilty of supplying it. Now, to be fair, Milo isn't the most reliable source by any stretch of imagination. We won't get into why that is here, but unless these claims get independently verified, you're free to take whatever he says with a grain of salt. However, in order to prove Milo's case, Milo filled out one of these. What you're looking at is an affidavit, which is basically a paper that serves as a written oath or affirmation that can be used in court. So if he's lying, he could be charged with the federal offense of perjury. So Milo filed one of these with the California Dental Board, where he put a ton of claims into it, which he promises before the courts are true. And if you're wondering why he submitted it to the dental board, well, apparently Kanye went to him and Milo's dentist to get his $850,000 fixed prosthodontics, which look like this. They're basically permanent titanium dentures. However, according to Kanye's source, they are, as the name suggests, fixed and permanent, but they go way beyond veneers or grills. His particular implant is quite unlike anything that has been done before. The source said that the implants are experimental, to say the least. And according to Milo, Dr. Connolly apparently started giving Kanye access to nitrous on a regular basis, which basically got Kanye addicted. So, when it comes to Milo's report, he claimed that Kanye's paying Dr. Connolly $50,000 a month to deliver large canisters of nitrous oxide into Kanye's home, and that the doctor even offered to live with Kanye in order to ensure that the gas was always available whenever Kanye wanted it. He also claimed that Kanye's been using nitrous frequently, even during meetings, resulting in unpredictable behavior and confusing directions for his staff. But still, all of this seems to be based on a trust me bro basis. Milo hasn't provided any hard evidence, except for, well, maybe this.
Milo shows a bunch of additional interactions between himself, Kanye, and the dentist Connolly.
These are apparent text messages between him, Kanye, and Dr. Connolly, which appears to show Kanye asking his doctor if he could deliver nitrous to him, and the doctor seemingly confirming that he would. And if these messages are legit and Kanye really is abusing nitrous, then his fans have a right to be worried because other celebrities warned about how bad it can get, like Steve-O, for example, who's been open about his battle with addiction to nitrous oxide, describing how it took a toll on his mental and his physical health. And it's not just Steve-O, there's been many cases of other celebrities who fell into the same trap of using nitrous oxide as an escape. And to make matters worse, it's now being reported that Kim Kardashian has been hearing about these stories about Kanye's potential addiction, and it's causing her real concern, not just for herself, but also for their children. So all of this seems to be stemming from his painful divorce from Kim. Having to see her move on with Pete Davidson before the divorce is even final, I can sympathize with Kanye if he felt defeated when his prayers to restore his family appeared to go unanswered. That would be tough for any man to go through, and it's clear that this took a heavy toll on him. But it's still sad to think that, in his pain and suffering, Kanye might have felt like he couldn't rely on God anymore. And if these reports are true, then the crushing loss of his family could have pushed him towards substance abuse as a way to numb the pain. And the feelings that Kanye had are understandable, but that doesn't mean that his conclusion is correct either. I mean, when things go horribly wrong, we feel like it isn't fair. You've had those times, and I experienced those times too. But then I realized that it wasn't fair for Christ, the only truly innocent person to ever live. It wasn't fair for him to die for people who were not just full of sin, but were also his enemies. Because while we were sinners, and while we were his enemies, Christ died for us. Jesus didn't just suffer for no reason. He endured the greatest pain imaginable so that way we wouldn't have to suffer eternally. And his suffering, although it was unjust and undeserved, it still brought about the greatest good that the world has ever known. Through his suffering, we're offered a way to be reconciled with God so that we'll never have to suffer again. Now, here's why all of this is relevant for not just Kanye, but also for you. When it comes to these times that we experience untold pain, we can remember that if God can bring such an immense greater good from the worst kind of suffering to the one person who didn't deserve it in the least, then surely there's a greater purpose and a greater good behind the pain that us sinners experience, even if we don't see it or fully understand it. So for Kanye and anyone else who feels overwhelmed by pain, it's not that God isn't there. It's that because he understands everything that there is to know, he understands what we truly need even when we don't. The hope and purpose that Kanye is searching for isn't found in substances or self-reliance, but instead in the eternal promise of God's love and grace. And the good news is, Kanye's story isn't over, and neither is yours. The gospel invites us to stop trying to carry it all on our own, and instead find true rest in the love and grace of Christ. So let's pray Kanye finds his way to Christ, and not by treating God like a genie, but by seeking a humble, genuine relationship with the creator of the universe. Now, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button on your way out, as it really does help us in the algorithm. And then go ahead and check out this video to hear how Kanye's religious views have not only evolved over the years, but also took a very unexpected turn. All right, see you guys next time.